Now move on to the next part of our program, where we shall ask our student dance group to come and explain about the specific instructions of City Manager Prabhu for Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. To the Prabhupada ki. When I was listening to the Prabhupada in early 76 in India, I realized that he was a living saint. We addressed the spiritual master as his divine grace, or the divine grace of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Most people, they don't believe or have a conception of the possibility of God existing, especially in His personal form. But when I first met the Prabhupada and I saw this incredible, profound, deep love that he had for God, I immediately understood here was someone who was not only in touch with God, but who was constantly bathing and experiencing the most sublime of all human achievements, which is this blessed state of divine love. And Srila Prabhupada, that was his mission, was to come and teach everybody in the world, especially in this day and age where materialism is so rampant and people have forgotten the inner side of themselves. So he has come to show us and remind us of our original constitutional position as being an eternal living servant of the Lord. The most wonderful thing about Srila Prabhupada was not only he knew God, he was constantly in touch with God. Lord Krishna was constantly speaking to Prabhupada from within the heart. But also, he introduced to the world that here is God, he is a person. He has a spiritual abode, very wonderful place, without any suffering, where every step is a dance, where every song, where every word is a song. And it is known as Vaikuntha, or the place where worry is conspicuous by its absence. So not only Srila Prabhupada introduced us to the Supreme Lord, but also gave his address, gave his family members' names. Practically we even have the Lord's telephone number. So Srila Prabhupada was invited here in Mauritius by the then Prime Minister Srila, who wrote a very nice letter to Srila Prabhupada saying, "Will Your Holiness please come and bless our island with your presence, and please bring your Krishna consciousness movement." So it was the first time that Srila Prabhupada was officially invited by a head of state. And he immediately rearranged his schedule, a very busy schedule, and came to Mauritius. And he had a great hope, because Mauritius is a very unique country in the world. It's a tiny island with only 1 million population, not much bigger than any town in most big countries. But still, the unique status of the island of Mauritius is that it's an independent state, having its own government and its own embassies around the world. So, Srila Prabhupada was very enthusiastic that Mauritius could become the first example or showcase of a happy society where people practice this ancient Vedic culture. So I would like to read an extract from some talk. Gautam Tilak is a junior minister. He arranged for many ministers and members of parliament to come and meet with Srila Prabhupada. And for about 40 minutes, he explained to them how to set up an ideal society according to the principles of Bhagavad Gita. So I'll read a bit from that. Srila Prabhupada, he was very enthusiastic, having been invited by a head of state for the first time. Mostly around the world, society is governed by materialistic men, very greedy, very power-hungry, with no interest or inkling towards spirituality or towards love. Due to their exploitive tendencies, they reject love as sentimental, unnecessary phenomena. With Srila Prabhupada, he wanted that this island could maybe become an example for the rest of the world. Already Mauritius is popular, and he saw the possibility here. And his first words when he landed at the airport and he was received by some dignitaries through the VIP lounge was a quote from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita where he says, that whatever the leaders of society do, the common people will naturally follow the example. So as he was invited by the leaders of Mauritius, then he was hopeful that the Mauritian people would follow the good example of having a spiritual leadership. Contrasting ancient Vedic culture with modern civilization, Srila Prabhupada noted, Vedic society is based on the principle of love between husband and wife, father and son, the king and the citizen, and so on. Civilization must be founded on love, not law. By law, you cannot make a person love you. First, he must love you, and then he will gladly follow your law. Modern civilization, Prabhupada said, lacks this basis of love. So everything is superficial and false. But if devotion to God, Krishna, is made the basic principle, then people will become happy. Knowing of local plans to reorganize social and political structures, Srila Prabhupada then proposed that an ideal state, based on the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, be set up in Mauritius. Quote, people will be very inclined to it, he said. In a big state, especially a highly industrialized one, it would not be possible, but in a small state like Mauritius, you can make it happen. You wouldn't be making a new experiment. This experiment has already been made and proven successful. The whole world, this is my own comment, the whole world turns towards India for authentic spiritual and cultural roots. India is recognized as the most ancient of cultures. Sanskrit is recognized as the mother of practically all the world's tongues. So, in that way, Srila Prabhupada has proved himself to be India's greatest ambassador, especially in the spiritual and cultural sense. And this reference he's giving here is from the Vedic history, which is the greatest and richest history, the most ancient also, that is very well recorded in the Sanskrit language. Prabhupada continues here. In Vedic days, people lived strictly according to the principles summarized by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. They made the test and proved that the principles are true. So you just have to follow what is already there. You simply have to accept Vedic authority. So that is our great hope, that Mauritians, especially most of Asia and most Mauritians are of Indian origin. So this is your cultural roots. Unfortunately, you have been swayed by my culture, the French, European kind of culture, and you have simply been led to hell by that. Where still today, when you go to India, I spent many years, I go very often to India, as often as possible, and still today you'll get very happy families in India, very little divorce, much less social problems than we are facing in the Western cultures. The Western culture simply is teaching us how to become addicted to cigarettes, alcohol, sex, and all these bodily activities. And in this way, they are prohibiting us from diving deep within our soul and experiencing the real goal of life, which is communion with the Supreme Lord in a loving and devotional mood. This gives the greatest happiness, the greatest satisfaction. And when one finds inner peace in this way, then he can become a very valuable contribution to society. In our recent political turmoil, we see that this is imperative, that at least some people in Mauritius become seriously dedicated to spiritual values, instead of just trying to become more and more rich by stealing the hard-earned results of the Mauritian public's work. So we encourage you all, please don't follow this tradition from the West. Don't try and become French. It's just a degraded lifestyle in the ultimate sense. They have divorced themselves from spirituality over time by instituting republics and getting rid of God-inspired leaders. And now they're trying to force the whole world to adopt this demoniac lifestyle and lose this chance to penetrate in the spiritual reality that is within all of us. Thank you very much.